All conversations and information exchanged during What If Nothing's Wrong podcast with Heidi Haddad, LCSW, are intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do not confuse this with treatment, therapy, or psychotherapeutic advice or guidance. The information on these podcasts is supplemental and not meant to interfere with the therapeutic work between you and your professional therapist, counselor, or psychiatrist. Please understand that Heidi Haddad does not maintain the role of your psychotherapist, but rather offers an educated, professional perspective from that of a licensed clinical social worker.
When your anxiety is crippling and you're stuck inside your head, find your joy, find your joy. When your man won't touch you but you wanna have a baby, find your joy, find your joy. When you're walking down the street and you get punched in the face, find your joy, find your joy. When you wanna fire a bazooka at your neighbor's barking dog, find your joy, find your joy. Find your joy, find your joy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to What If Nothing's Wrong, the podcast that asks the question, what if nothing's wrong? I'm Nelsie Spencer. I'm the host and a woman who once won third place in an ice skating contest. I'm joined by Heidi Haddad, therapist, and a woman who has the cojones to drive around Manhattan on a bike with her son in the seat behind her, and Ronnie Whaley, a millennial and a person beyond that who lives in a house where it is mandated by the state that you are only allowed to have pugs. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
I think I'll begin with our Lanat last night on Twitter.
Lanat.
Which is now just called Lanat.
Lanat.
And I like it. I think you could have a little thing, Ronnie, on there that says Lanat.
And then there's a little knot. There's a rope tied in a knot.
We don't have the budget for that.
And a heart-shaped knot in the Lanat. The knot is heart.
Which stands for, in case you guys haven't figured out, last night on Twitter.
Last night I got a few, ironically or interestingly enough, I don't know, a few messages from people who were wondering what it would be like. And I've had this before. This is a pretty consistent conversation I've had through my career about one person in a couplehood relationship that one person who wants to have a child or a family, and the other person that feels a little more meh about it. And then the couple is stuck trying to navigate who gets to win, so to speak, who gets their wants cared for. And how do you navigate that when you really want? So obviously some people, how do you navigate that when this person that you love and want to be in relationship with, and maybe the relationship's great across in so many different ways, and you want kids? So do you leave the relationship and find someone else? Or do you stay in the relationship and let go of wanting kids, or let go of having them, accepting, to speak to Eckhart Tolle, accepting that you're in a situation that you can't change and just roll with that? Or do you...
If you can't accept it, do you leave?
Right.
Because all else is madness.
Well, is it something that's like decided at the beginning? You know what I mean? Like how people are upfront about that?
I think some people don't actually have those conversations up front. Sometimes they don't. Not always, right? Some people absolutely have that conversation. Some people assume the conversation. A lot of people assume the conversation. And so
some people change their mind.
And some people change their mind.
I have a friend who, this was a long time ago, who was in a relationship with a guy. She's my age. He was a few years younger. And he said right at the outset, I don't want to have kids. And she heard him, but she believed in her heart that he would change his mind. And 7 years later, he still didn't want to have kids. And she still wanted to, and her biological clock was ticking. She was running out of eggs, and she left. And unfortunately, long story short, she didn't end up being a mom for a variety of reasons. But I have my niece. This was probably, 10 years ago now. My niece, who is, a solid 20 years younger than I am, she came to visit me and Doug. We were at a soccer game, and she happened to be in the neighborhood. So she came to the soccer game, And I was like, how are you doing? And she'd been married for like 3 or 4 years. And she said, I'm good. And my kids were playing soccer and she's great with my kids. And she was like, what's up?
Can I have one?
She said, can I have one? And I said, well, actually, yes, let's talk about which one you think would be best. No. And she said, well, I really want to have kids and my husband doesn't. And I was like, oh. And she said, yeah, so, I'm just asking myself, I don't know how important it is. And, what if, but I don't know. I'm feeling pretty sad about it. Like I used to think it was okay. And now I feel really sad about it. And I said, well, how etched in stone is it? And she said, well, I don't know. I said, is he flexible? She said, I don't know. And I said, well,
you mean like,
like not can he do a back bend? Is he like adamant, I don't want kids, or is there any room for discussion?
I was gonna say, like, why does that matter? Like, is that because of the way
Ronnie, you lost the thread. Stay with us.
Like, is that how babies are made? Like, there's a certain position.
Yes, if you can do the splits, baby,
you are going to be procreating. Long story short, I said to her, I don't know, sweetie. I said, if it's really important to you, and he's kind of on the fence. Like he could go either way. I think you got to push it because you don't want to be looking at him 20 years from now and be pissed off that you wanted to have kids and you didn't.
But couldn't that go the other way? Like if you like,
it absolutely could. It absolutely could. And obviously I was coming from the point of view where I'd had 2 kids and being a mother was a really extremely fulfilling and wonderful and important part of my life. But I also, she started crying in the conversation and I don't think she expected herself to. I don't think she knew that that she was this upset about. And it felt to her like I might have to not have kids or leave the marriage.
Like Sophie's Choice.
They had, not quite as bad, but
well, you had kids. Shit.
Fast forward, she had 2 kids. They're still together. He's a wonderful dad.
Oh, okay.
And how'd they get over that?
I think she said to him, it really matters to me. And he said, okay. And I mean, and he was, and I'm filling in a lot of blanks. I think he was obviously he was a reluctant father, but I don't think he has ever looked at his 2 boys and thought, gee, I wished I didn't have them. But that doesn't mean that doesn't happen for some people,
For sure.
I had another friend that called me and she was, 40 something and she was with a guy and she'd gotten pregnant, not intentionally, but she always knew she wanted to have kids. And she called me because I was a mom who'd had my kids kind of late. And she was like, I don't know what to do. She was thinking of having an abortion. And I said, do you want kids? And she said, yeah. And I said, then have it. I said, I don't think you're going to ever look back and go, I wish I hadn't had this kid. But I think you might look back and go, I wish I hadn't had the abortion, because she knew she wanted kids. And even though she didn't know if she was going to stay with this guy, she was like in her 40s. Yeah. And once again, TikTok, man, TikTok. And she
had tough.
She had this child, and now this child is in her 20s. And I don't think she ever looked back. And I don't know what happened with her and the guy, but those are two times where people actually came to me for advice. And I
changed the course of their history.
I did.
Of their story.
And thanks to me, 3 more kids on the planet. So you can thank me or be mad at me. I don't know. It's a lot of this population problem.
I think it is so complicated. If it's not so, I think there are also other people that wanting to have kids for some people is a given. They just always thought they were going to have kids when they got older, and that's the path they're on. They don't question it. Then there are some people that always thought they'd have kids, and then all of a sudden they realize that it doesn't have to be their future. And then that throws a little wrench in of like, well, what does that mean? And how do I undo all that I know? Then there are the people that were raised in a family that their messaging, the offspring's messaging, I don't know, I'm not articulating the sentence well, but they basically were left with, I don't know if I really want to be a parent. I don't know that I want to do what they did, and fear that they're going to make the same choices that their parents did.
I could have a kid and really fuck them up.
Right. I don't want to deal with that. It's too much. And then in relationship, you have maybe a parent that already has.
Yeah. There's the parent that like wants their kids to have kids.
Oh, my husband is chomping at the bit. He like cannot wait. It's like he's so dying to be a grandparent, only because he wants
Doug has a lot of free time on his hands.
Too much free. Wants to teach him soccer. It's all about like,
You're starting to league here.
I got to start a league before I lose my cognitive and physical abilities. I got to start coaching. So what about you, Ronnie? What do you think?
Jeez. I mean,
we know what Ronnie feels about kids.
Have I? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You said you weren't sure that you wanted to have kids, and we had that conversation where I said I thought you would make a great dad because you had some good information to share along.
I said I'm absolutely not thinking about having kids at the moment. Like
that is
in my
not
life
what you said
right now. I don't know because
I'm not going to argue with you.
I don't know.
I agree to disagree.
I agree to disagree with your ideas about your own life. Sorry.
Honestly, I
no,
don't
not
know.
that about about the early whatever.
The conversation.
I honestly don't know. I feel like it's well, like I said, like my parents had me 2 years from my age right now. I don't imagine
I told you
that.
We talked about this,
but I do. I guess I do. I've always pictured kids, but then every time I go through that that rabbit hole of like, what if I, when I have my kid, now all of a sudden, like people think it's like, some people think that having a kid is, this thing for 18 years, but it's not. It's this thing for the rest of your life, right? And
correct.
Yeah. Some people really think that, like, it's like, oh, just 18 years. I think and that's it.
Kids. That's people that don't have kids, right? Who think
well,
that.
Let me tell you, when I had Raina and Mac, and I had them close together, my brother, who's gay, and at the time he was in a relationship. I mean, in relationship, out of relationship, he was really thinking, I want to adopt, and he really wanted to have that experience. And then he got to see what it was really like. I was like, never mind. I like being the uncle. When he saw that, like, there's no time off. You know what I mean? And it's just
exactly.
And your life it centers around your kid if you're choosing to be a certain kind of parent. And so when he saw that close up and personal, he was like, maybe I don't want to do that. And I think that happens for a lot of people.
I think that happens. And I think I've also encountered people who agree to start a family, however they do that. Let's say they're in the throes of an adoption process or pregnancy, and if it's a same-sex couple, that they've gone to lengths to get pregnant. And then it turns out, and then the person's pregnant, and then the other partner's going, I didn't really want to have kids. And the pregnant one saying, what now? What is that? How does that? And then the one who isn't pregnant is saying,
this happens?
Yeah, I've met people. I've worked with people, and they're working with me because they need help to navigate this piece and don't know. And I find, as the therapist, the challenge is unraveling, because you have to get into it, right? The person who's not, if it's a pregnancy situation, the person who's not pregnant is saying, and who's questioning or saying, I never really wanted to have kids, and I just did it because I love my partner so much and I want us to stay together and I don't want to lose her. Can the pregnant one do the parenting? Can I just still have my relationship with her, but not be a parent? And which of course isn't a real thing, right?
No,
that doesn't happen. But Nelsie, how many people ask that? Can I just be there? Can I just continue to have my adult relationship while you be the parent?
Oh, I'm sure that
because the person that is the parent doesn't have the room and the space to just frolic with their partner and have all that sweet time. Because also the one who doesn't want to be a parent anymore is saying, or never really wanted to be a parent, is saying, we could still read the paper together on Sunday mornings, and we can. The image they have is that her life doesn't change.
Right. And the child is what? Like in a cage on some Valium? Right. I mean, it doesn't work that way.
A lot of Benadryl. A lot of Benadryl.
It doesn't work that way. I have to say that for me, becoming a parent and doing it later in life, I mean, everything's relative, I wasn't 22 when I had my kids. I was 37 and 39, and I'd sort of had I'd done a lot of stuff and had
a lot of game shows.
Like some game shows. Yeah. What I liked about becoming a parent and what I didn't expect is that it forced me to grow up in a way that I still hadn't grown up. It forced me to grow up, and maybe grow up is not those aren't the right. It forced me to be outwardly focused in a way that I hadn't been, because when you're
you had to
trying
take
to
care of
make
somebody
it and you're an
else.
actor and a stand-up comic and, it's all about me and, and then suddenly you're a parent and it's about feeding the child and keeping the child from crying and, bathing them. And suddenly your focus is completely other, which forced me to mature in a way that I hadn't matured yet. So I was really happy for that. I was glad for that. That's not why I did it, but it grew me up in a way that
I didn't really need to grow up. I should have some kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm kind of an asshole, kind of an immature asshole. Maybe I should parent.
Have a kid.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the answer.
This is a great solution.
I only care
be the
about and
best
think
parent.
about me. The baby. I don't know. Did you experience that, Heidi?
What do you mean?
When you had Leon, did you experience going from you were already a therapist, so you were already much more other focused probably than the average bear. But did it create a change in you in that way that I'm describing that you didn't expect, or did it create that change?
I think I did not have that experience. To your point, I'm a therapist, so there was already other, and I was not in a world that was focused on me in that regard, so that I then had to peel it away to look at somebody else. I expected to be completely focused on this other person.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that going into it. Just circling back to like the parental discord or disconnect for people who want to have kids and don't. I think that's incredibly difficult to navigate when they're in the throes of it. I find myself as a witness to people who are having this conversation that's incredibly painful, because there's definitely one person in there who really, really wants family, really wants kids, and the other person really doesn't. And part of that is unpacking what's driving the really wants and the really don't wants, for them to have a deeper, more compassionate conversation with one another about what's going on.
Yeah.
And to your point about your niece's partner, husband, that he was a reluctant parent but happy to have his kids. I also know people who really didn't want to have already had kids, felt good, felt afraid to have any more kids, that they wouldn't have enough love to go around. That there's that fear that they're only able to, like, I love these one or two children so much. How can I possibly have room in my heart for another? And then someone else is born, and that it all works
There's
out.
Plenty of love. There's plenty of love.
Plenty
to
of
go
love.
Around.
But that person's position was a place of fear, or not really wanting. And then it was like, whoa, we're pregnant, and now I need to jump on board on some level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do you leave the relationship entirely because that's just not...
When someone gets pregnant?
If there's a situation where you already have kids, the person gets pregnant, it wasn't intentional, and now this fifth kid that you didn't want is now here. And you find that you have room in your heart to love that fifth kid when you didn't think you would, which is why you had said no to a fifth kid to begin with.
Right. But that's different than like...
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids.
I mean,
but that's different than like...
It's a small soccer league.
Somebody gets pregnant and the partner who wants the kid has the kid, and the other partner like doesn't change their mind. Like even after, I can't imagine that though. I can't imagine that you would look at a baby.
It happens, right?
Wow.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
It's not even that being the people like me who doesn't get so excited about your cute little kitty cat over there. Some people just don't get excited about babies. And also to your point, to Nelsie, as you're saying, you look at the little baby's face. There are plenty of people in this world who could care less about the little pretty babe. They don't care about the baby. They don't care about the baby face. And some don't know how to engage with the baby until they're 5 and 6 and 8 and 10, until they can actually engage with them in a whatever way that.
Oh, well, did you watch the news, little Tyler? Because I'm concerned about...
That's one version.
That's I don't know.
There are lots of other versions in between that, but just even being able to engage. They don't change diapers. They don't know how to hold the baby. They don't care to hold the baby. They don't get anything from that baby until that baby is a walking, talking being.
God. I'm just noticing how much incredible judgment I have in me about it. I really do. And I feel I'm being vulnerable. I'm admitting that I just like that. Like that I just like there's a part of me that's like, what's wrong with those people? Like I just and obviously that stuff comes to me effortlessly. You know, I didn't have to work at it, and I don't know, was I born that way and or whatever. Like you know, Doug and I will be on the beach and we'll see a baby and I'll just look at it and I'll go, babies are great. Like that's just who I am. You know, like I'll see
Babies
somebody
are
else
fantastic.
babies the
Babies,
best.
puppies,
And by the way, before I had my kids, I had never held a baby. I wasn't a kid. I wasn't a person who babysat. I had never
You're the
changed a
youngest
diaper.
too, right?
I was the baby, and I didn't spend any time around babies. I was the baby. You know what I mean? So I didn't know anything. I knew nothing, but I had an innate whatever. So, but it's just interesting how
had
much
innate
I'm like,
whatever. That's
well,
amazing.
I had an innate ability. When Raina was born, and I had this lovely nurse who came in the middle.
It came natural.
She was like, "Is this your first?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Oh my God, you're such a natural." Which, like, I'm not saying, "Oh, aren't I great?" That it just, you know, it's innate. You know, along with my ability to ice skate.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Ronnie. I have no idea.
And
what
not
you mean
always.
by that.
And not always, right? There are definitely some parents that are the way in which you were pre your children, and they stay that way post their children. And that child suffers, and their children suffer as a result of it. They're not given the attention they need. I mean, this is a whole other conversation. So we're just talking, I mean, just to circle back to our theme, because we could obviously talk about parenting in all its forms every episode. We could change our What If Nothing's Wrong podcast to be like, what is wrong with you as a parent? a lot
what is
of things
wrong
to
with you? That's the podcast. What is wrong with you?
Have you heard about that saying, like a mother is a mother when she has, when she's pregnant, and then a father is a father when he holds his child?
Yeah.
That happened to my dad. Like when he held me, he was like, oh, okay, now everything is for this. You know what I mean? Because you don't like, I kind of get that. Because like as a guy, like not having to, carry the baby or be pregnant, it's hard to like really engage in what's actually about to happen, this huge responsibility. But then once you see it and you hold it and you realize, fuck.
Yeah. Fuck. That's the Hallmark card. That's it. You open it, like, it says fuck.
And some people probably see that and they're like, oh no, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like this got way too real, And I think about it, I know tons of people have done that.
Tons of people that have like, this is way too real, and they're like,
and just walked out on their kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a very good skill they have of disengaging from responsibility, which is interesting.
It's called avoidant.
Yeah.
And then to that end, maybe the kid's better off in some way. I don't know, depending on the situation. Right. I'm not saying that across the board at all.
No.
But
situation.
But better a kid have an engaged, I mean, if we're going for the gold, engaged, positive, loving, kind, compassionate parent who is open-minded and
perfect.
Not perfect, but just not willing. No, let's not say perfect, but just wanting.
Yeah.
And not trying. That right. I mean, and having some ability to be self-reflective and not just looking at it as there's some, whatever. That's a whole other conversation.
I know.
Again, I want to circle back to our original point because we could definitely offshoot this in so many millions of ways. So just want to say that I think it's an incredibly difficult path to be on when you and your partner are at odds about whether to start a family and have children, however you create that family. And including if you're in the adoption process and the other parent's like, you know what, I did this because you really wanted it, but I don't.
Yeah.
And that happens too. And that and a person pulls out of that situation. And then the other parent is tripping because they didn't realize they were going to be a single parent.
I know of two women that the woman got pregnant and because they wanted to have a baby, and then she had the baby and then her partner left. And it was her and her child, and it was devastating to her, obviously for a variety of reasons. And just as what you were speaking about, Heidi, it's so much more difficult and you for a same-sex couple to have a baby. And so she was completely blindsided because she really thought that her partner was all in. And I don't think that, from what I understand, that her partner, she didn't realize until the baby came, she was like, oh no, I'm not up for this. Like, she thought that she was in, and then she was gone. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. What are you laughing?
I kept waiting for you to say something else, and you kept just saying the same thing she just couldn't believe it. She was really sideswiped. She was surprised. Yeah. So because she was expecting her to be there, and then she wasn't. And that was surprising. So kept waiting for but she overcame, or but it turns out it was a better choice, or but, or and, nothing.
I don't know.
So
I don't
she
know
was really
her.
surprised.
I don't know her well enough to know the end of the story. And then they died. No,
Okay.
She has a beautiful, thriving child, and she has a lovely career, and it all worked out.
Was that true, or you just made that up?
I don't know. I'm making it up. I mean, if I'm going to make up the ending, it might as well be good. No, it really all was for the best. Really was for the best.
I mean, I do believe it is for the best in that regard.
Because what if nothing's wrong?
Also, if somebody doesn't want to be there, do you want them there?
No. Mm-mm.
Do you want them there as your partner? Do you want them there as your co-parent who's not really
on board? No. And to that, like when I think back of my friend whose boyfriend told her from the get-go, I don't want kids, but she thought he'd change his mind. Just, a little cautionary tale there. If you're with somebody and they're telling you that,
believe them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't want to turn around and go, oh shit, I've run out of time.
I was sure you were going to change your mind. Well, that's on you, buddy. That's how that's going to go.
That's on you. Bye-bye.
Also, that conversation happens on a regular basis where two people do have the conversation. They say, I don't know. Or maybe, or there's something, or they change their mind, but still there's maybe. And the other person decides for their partner, it's going to work out. We're going to get what I want.
And then they make it happen.
No, or they don't. And then they're incredibly disappointed, or the other person leaves. And then they've been in this relationship waiting for the other person to sign off on having a baby. And in their minds, they're waiting. Like, all right, well, give them a couple or her, give the other person a couple more years, all right, and I'll do one more year, and maybe they'll be interested in having a baby then. And then all of a sudden it's
a dangerous game.
It's a very dangerous game. Yes.
It's hard. It's painful. It's really painful, especially for the person that really wants to have kids, and navigating and for all the conversations we have about, maybe we don't actually, about coupledom being so important and couplehood being so important, that the idea of doing this by yourself is abhorrent. Basically, I know people that say, okay, I'm going to freeze my eggs, women who are going to freeze their eggs, hoping that their partner works out and they decide to get on board when push comes to shove. But they get to the point that they don't let go of their relationship and freeze their eggs because they're so petrified of doing it on their own. Just don't want it. They so desperately want to have children that they'll freeze their eggs
and stay in the relationship.
And stay in the relationship. And then when it still doesn't work out, they won't have kids on their own. So what's that? I don't know. I'm not, that's a whole other kettle of peas, if you will.
It is. It's a whole other kettle of peas. Call back to 7 episodes ago.
I think it was more than that, but yes. And then there are other people who freeze their eggs because they don't have the partner and they don't want to do it on their own, and they're fearful of doing it on their own. And so they just freeze, hoping that the partner will materialize.
Yeah.
While they're still able to have those babies. Or maybe the other person will have the babies, but it's whatever the story is. But there's just a fear of doing it on your own. So you stay in a relationship because that is so much more important than, you think it's so much more important than having the babies.
Well, and also
the
society
time.
tells
I'm not
us,
saying that's right.
society tells us we live in a culture where couples have babies. Couples have babies. That's who has babies.
Right.
So we
That's
live in a
more
culture,
sound situation
right,
for
right.
a child.
And let's face it, there's plenty of people who wait for the partner and then have a baby, and then the partner leaves or the partner dies or the partner, whatever. And single parents have been raising kids, since the beginning of time. So you can do it. It's easy for me to say because I did have a partner and do have a partner. But yeah, I don't know the answer to that one. I mean, I don't think waiting around for your partner to change is a slippery slope in
anything. You're right. You're right. To just change their attitude, to change their personality, to change the way they're
change
engaging,
the way they talk to you,
to start start putting condiments away in the kitchen. If you're waiting for that, it's just a challenge versus accepting
Tabasco
it is what it
and
is.
French's mustard on a counter right now, and yet I go on because that's the kind of person I am.
It's about to lose it. See him on the news
that
tomorrow.
Should be on your Losing It podcast.
Look, he got me earrings for our 34th wedding anniversary, and they're opals. So condiments, schmondiments.
When was your wedding anniversary? Just?
3 days ago.
Oh, who knew?
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
You did know?
I did know. You didn't know?
Well, you're Nelsie's best friend.
And
okay.
you know what? And you know what? Did he do anything? Did he even send a text?
I said
nothing.
Happy anniversary, like prior to that.
You did. He did.
I did.
You know what I did? Nothing. You know why? Knew nothing. Knew nothing. Know nothing. Say nothing.
Well, we know that I'm not good at oh, hey, it's my birthday. Oh, hey, it's my anniversary. It's just not my thing.
So what we were just talking about is making me think of the prompt I want to use for my next Twitter AMA.
Okay, your next
and
Twitter.
It's about love for self being conditional.
Explain.
So
explain, says Ronnie.
So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right now, how we're talking about. So love for self is conditional. So can you just freely love yourself no matter who you are, what you're interested in, what your deal is? There's that general thing. But with respect to baby making, and we were just talking about this. In what we were just talking about is that not
Ronnie
choose
went, oh, baby making.
If you want to have a kid.
Baby making, and he went, oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. All day.
I don't know what's happening. I'll be honest. If you want to have children and your partner doesn't, and you are waiting for your child, you're waiting for your child to want children. If you're waiting for your partner to change and be on board and psyched to do it, are you considering yourself in that? Because you really, you get to a point in the story, right? In this example,
scenario.
You get to a point. Thank you. You get to a point where you recognize hands down, you definitively want to have kids. There's no question. And you turn to your partner and say, I'm ready to do this. And they say, I'm not interested in doing this at all. And then you navigate that, however you're going to navigate that. Maybe you see a therapist. Maybe you keep talking about it. Maybe, whatever you do. And at the end of the day, or the end of all the work that you're doing, the answer is still the same. Do you stay in the relationship and compromise yourself? Do you leave and in order to get what you want, because you desperately want this baby or babies? And so is your love for self conditional in that I love myself and I want to take care of myself, but I need to do it with a partner. So therefore it's conditional, right? It's not unabashedly taking care of self. Like, I want to have a kid. You don't. I love you so much. And I wish that we could be together and do this together, but we can't. So I'm out.
But conversely,
I think there's a lot of conversely in that statement. Go ahead.
Right. What if you want to have a baby and your partner doesn't? But
oh my God, that's in our song. Sorry.
Find your joy. But you stay. And you know that you're compromising yourself. Can you love yourself in that imperfection? Love yourself.
Well, it's not imperfectione, to quote my friend Nelsie. If you accept that you're not going to have children and you're okay with that.
Right.
But if you are compromising yourself, if you say, I'm going to stay in this relationship and I'm just going to ignore the fact that I really want to have kids. I'm going to shove it under the rug. I'm going to not address what would bring me joy. Then that's a compromise. That's painful.
Yes. But because when you first brought up the idea of self-love being unconditional, how it landed on me, Heidi, was that if self-love is unconditional, then we love ourselves no matter how we're navigating something poorly, perfectly, imperfectly. And so do you know what but I think you're talking about self-love as an active thing, as how we treat ourselves. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm thinking of it more as an internal,
Yes.
right?
I think it's both. I mean, I think you can interpret it any way you want in that. I think it covers it. If it's love is conditional, where I love myself as long as I'm doing X, right? I love myself as long as I am in the job that's right for me, whatever that is, or I'm at the school that I should be at, air quotes, or I
love myself as long as I've meditated and done affirmations and walked the dog and worked out and then I can love myself.
The conditional part is when, and this is a conditional tense, right? The shoulds and the coulds. Isn't that actually what the conditional, is anybody speaking another language in this story?
Nope.
I know what you're saying, and I should know because I'm a writer and a writing coach and teacher, but I don't know.
You can find me at Nelsie Writes. Cut that out.
How about like
so hot.
People who can only love themselves if they're doing better than other people or their peers,
right? Well,
which is like everybody I know.
Really?
Really? Is that true, Ronnie?
That's not everybody, but there's a lot of people I know like that. Where it's like
where they feel so competitive that they have to do I'm doing better than everyone else, so I love me.
No, more like I'm worthless unless I convince this person I'm better than them.
Oh.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like you having that conversation with a person and you realize that they're trying to convince you that, well, it's not really them trying to convince you. It's more them trying to convince themselves that a lot of these things are real, like, or whatever it is, right? Like, having that conversation where you're just listening to this person talk about who they are. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? Am I the only one who knows what I'm saying here?
I don't really know what you're saying. I hate to say it.
I'm waiting for it.
So you're with a friend and they're going, oh, and I did this and I did that, or then I said that to him, and then
no. This is like I got this going on, I got this going on, I got this going on, so this is gonna happen, and all this is gonna happen, and you realize that you've been listening to this person for half an hour, and you start to wonder,
why am I even here?
Do I even need to be here for you to have this conversation? It seems like you're trying to do
they're not having a conversation, they're having a monologue.
Yeah, for themselves.
They're giving a monologue.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because they want, they're not so much that they need you to think they're so great, but they're doing it to say like, I'm doing great. Yeah. I've got this podcast. I've got, I'm in school. I'm getting A's. I'm getting all A's.
Exactly. I'm doing better than that guy. So things are probably better. And like, I'm doing better than that guy. So I'm probably, doing okay,
right. Have them call me.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So I think that comes from a lot of insecurity and anxiety and believing that, and not like that this isn't fucking global epidemic, believing that we are what we do and that our self-esteem has to do with,
it's definitely self-esteem
and we're doing better than this person.
But I feel like it's a lot of what they say rather than what they do. People talk a lot.
But I think this is an example, and this is an example of what we're talking about the conditionality of love, which is that person feels insecure and that person feels that they are falling behind or failing or not doing what they should or should be doing. Let's use the S word. They should be doing. And therefore they are making this big statement, this monolithic monologue, if you will.
The monolithic monologue.
the
Mono a
monolithic
mono.
monologue about all the things that they're doing, whether you know and you're on the receiving end of it, knowing that it's not really what they're doing, but it doesn't matter because it's just a lack of self-reflection, right? And it is about conditionality. If they wouldn't be boasting so much about the things that they theoretically are doing if they were actually doing it and felt good about where they were in their life.
Yeah, and also the sort of the flip side of that and the irony of all of that is if we're posturing for our friends, and saying I did this and I'm going to do this and I talked to this guy and we're going to do this. If you're posturing for your friends to sort of prove to them and prove to yourself that you're okay, then you're not really getting the help that you need. Versus if you say to a friend, I'm feeling lost, and like the days come and go, and I want to do this,
absolutely.
or I'm not really clear about what I want to do.
It's like honest.
Yeah, and because and that's what creates real relationships. When I with my friends, when they say how are you, I try to tell them the truth. I mean, even sometimes when the woman at the grocery store asks, I tell the truth, and she doesn't really want to know how I am. She just
your friends might not either.
Said my so-called friend.
Wait a second. Trap.
Yeah, I feel like I've been trying to do that a lot more often too.
If you tell the truth, you create connection, and also you can get help. If you go into your therapist and you're paying them whatever you are for 50-minute session and they say, how's it going? You just say, great. And you could do the same thing with your therapist, and that session's over and you didn't get the help because you're feeling sad and you're feeling scared and you're feeling insecure and you're depressed and you're wondering, why you're on the planet. The only way we get help is if we tell the truth. That's how we get help.
But people have a hard time speaking their truth. And the people have a hard time speaking their truth and being vulnerable and being honest. And I see that often in my sessions where people could spend 40 of the 50 minutes talking about where they went shopping or had hung out with their friends and had dinner and what they ate for dinner. And I might as well be on the receiving end of an Instagram post kind of thing where it's just an update. And then the last 10 minutes, something real and vulnerable comes out. And great. I mean, it's great in that it's great, but it takes that time to get to that place, or maybe they don't even identify it yet. Some of them aren't ready to talk about it. And sometimes it's just simply that they don't even realize that that's a thing to talk about until all of a sudden
they get to it.
Yeah. That stick reminds me of when and there's a whole story and they're sobbing and it's and there's
Heidi,
realness there.
Is it your job? I mean, I know your job, it's not like it's varied and it's nuanced and you meet your clients where they are, I'm guessing. Is it your job or is it the way you work? Is sometimes you just have to wait. You just wait.
Yes.
And is that hard sometimes?
Are you ever like, come on, let's go?
Can we get back to the thing that happened last week at minute 55? Hello.
See, that's why I couldn't be a therapist. I don't have the patience like that. Be like, all right, and then, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'd be doing that a lot.
Yeah, and you had the risotto, and it was really good. And
yeah.
No. I need to wait.
Yeah, that's your job, right? Just to be patient. No pun intended.
It doesn't serve them for me to rush them. So if there is a situation where sense. I may know something, or let's say wanting to circle back to what happened at hour 50, 5 minutes before the end of the session the week before, all kinds of things could have come up in that week. So it's I don't bring it up. I won't bring it up because they might have other things they want to talk about. And if they need to talk about it, they'll bring it back. I already have the information from my standpoint in terms of deepening our work about whatever it is that they were talking about, that there's a pin there. Sometimes people are very specific about, can we talk about this next week? And they bring it back up, or they say, what is it that I wanted to talk about? And then I'll mention it. But the point is that it doesn't serve, from my perspective, it doesn't serve them to give them the rope and pull them.
Yeah.
They need to throw me the rope and let me know when they're ready to throw it. So if they want to talk about what they've shopped, how they went shopping for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I'm aware of what that means in terms that they're not interested or they're not ready or they're not willing or they can't in that moment get deeper into whatever it is that they are avoiding something. What it is they're avoiding, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on the situation. And maybe I do know. But either way, I'm not going to say, let's just talk about the elephant in the room.
Mm.
You know, we need to talk
Interesting.
about you're not happy, are you? I'm not. What?
You hate yourself and your life. Am I right?
Right. That's not going to happen. And it doesn't serve them because if they're not ready to talk about their sadness, why am I bringing it up?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Because then what might happen is they're sort of crawling out of their shell and they just could retreat. Right.
My intention is to create the space for them to navigate and move around and feel the space, whether they want to play a game for the younger folks and the older folks, they're allowed to. I have lots of games, or they want to just talk about whatever, or they want to talk about nothing, or they want to cry, or they want to lay there. As long as we both feel safe, do what you need to do in here because I want you to feel safe. That's the most important piece.
That's cool.
How often do we in our lives just feel unadulteratedly, not a word, safe? Where you're not worried about being judged. You're not worried about saying the right thing. I'm not saying people don't have that stuff when they come in here, but my intention is to create a space where they can let that go and not feel judged and feel that whatever they talk about.
That made me tear up.
Oh.
Just you saying, oh, God, I hate it when I cry on this fucking podcast. I hate it. I do. And me talking about being vulnerable. Oh, you got to be vulnerable. But here I am being vulnerable. But just that idea of, your job is to create a safe space. It's so beautiful and it's so basic. And I think that so many people that need therapy, that's a very important basic thing that they didn't get and that they're looking for. And so it's just it's so simple and so beautiful, but it's not necessarily easy. And one of the things that I was talking to my brother about the other day was realizing that how much of my time that I have spent in my life going, I'm not safe. How do I get safe? And that's a really, really old feeling in me. So somebody else should talk now because I'm verklempt. It's a really old feeling in me. Go ahead. Go Heidi. Sorry.
I'm glad you circled back with that line.
Yeah, sorry.
It really is old. It's super old. It's almost archaic. The trust test of fall back and have a trust the person's going to catch you.
Yeah.
It's
trust fall.
The trust fall. Thank you. The idea of trust, to Nelsie's point and mine, is so quintessentially basic. And yet we live in a world where and we've talked about this with babies, is like, how do you create a space for a baby when they're first born where they can learn to trust and holding them and modeling for them and reflecting to them and mirroring what's going on for them. They cry, you figure out what they need. They laugh, you laugh with them. They want to be cuddled and coddled, you cuddle and coddle. They need a hug, you give a hug. Just you meet them where they're at. They want to show you this pen that they just found on the floor. You say, "That's amazing! What a pen! Oh my God, I've never seen any pen like that before in my life. I love my pen."
It was like a Seinfeld impression. Amazing pen! Oh my God!
It's the best pen. So all of that kid grows up feeling safe, that they can express themselves and show you the pen and make a funny face and do whatever, and that you are there and going to see it. You don't have to spend hours nurturing that moment, but just acknowledging it. And that continues as we get older. But then we're in our society, which is so rife with judgment and criticism and what you should be doing all the time, whether it's how you're supposed to look or what kind of school you're supposed to go to or what kind of job you're supposed to have or how much money you make by the time you're 25. There's so much externalized should, that all people feel is less than and criticized for whatever it is that they want or can do or any of that. So if we can at least in various ways where you go to these workshops or exercises where they do a trust fall so that you learn to trust your colleagues, or you come to therapy and this is one 50-minute session a week where you can put down your wall and just feel safe. That's check. I feel like my job is done. If we don't talk about anything and you just have that one just 50 minutes a week where you could just lay there quietly in peace.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
But I also like modeling that whatever you say is okay.
Yeah.
Because it is okay. There is nothing wrong with anything you're saying. I hope you're not hurting anybody. And if you are, we're going to talk about it, or yourself. But other than that, everything you say is okay. And there's also, just as a therapist, to circle back to what's it like as a therapist, there are times where I might have a thought about something, but I'm doing my work also so that I'm not bringing that into the room, or working really hard to not bring anything into the room.
To bring any of your stuff into the room.
Yeah. And I don't mean judgment, because I do have the general do your thing, but I mean, even from the standpoint of, oh, that's been my experience too. I might think to myself and then take it out because we don't have the same experience. And even if I can relate on some level, that's not what we're there for. We're not friends hanging out. So I'm not there to say, yeah, I had that experience too. Let me tell you about it. Or there are times where people come in and say maybe that they felt judged, and I want to talk about it.
Meaning they felt judged from you.
Yeah, or in the moment, or if it's in a couple session and they feel that maybe I'm taking the other person's side. I always say to my clients, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because 100% of the time, I'd say 90, let's just give a little room. 99% of the time, it is not as they perceived it. And we have an opportunity to clean up. And the cleanup also is, if there's any part of me that put something out that didn't work or wasn't okay, I want to own that so we can move forward.
Yeah. And
I hear lots of people, not in my session, not my clients, but people who say, you know what, my therapist said XYZ to me and I've decided it's not a good fit anymore. And I say, Did you talk to them? Did you tell them that's, if it's 1 or 2 sessions, who cares? But if you have a relationship with that therapist, talk to them. And maybe the outcome of that conversation, you'll still walk away thinking like, yep, don't want it. But at least you did it. At least you had the opportunity to clean up, and they had an opportunity to show up
to
for
clean
you.
Up. Right.
And if you don't give them that opportunity, you walk away thinking whatever you think about that person, and you don't have an opportunity to express yourself. You still may feel the same feelings, but still it's important to express yourself.
Yeah.
Speak your truth.
And what if you speak your truth and find your joy? What if you speak your truth and you and your therapist work it out, and then there's even a deeper level of connection and trust that's created versus, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, and then suddenly
and also just remember that if you are having an issue with your therapist, that theoretical trust that we were talking about is broken.
Yeah.
So even you could say like, no, therapy's fine, but that person seemed to do XYZ. It's like, well, if that person seemed to do XYZ, that person, for your own sake, you need to address it with your therapist so that you know that you can
bring that skill into the world.
Yes. And if somebody came to me with, this has been bothering me actually, and how we talked about XYZ, Heidi, didn't sit well with me. I want the opportunity to address it, honor what they're saying, and respect and appreciate and validate their experience of how whatever went down, whether it's my own truth too, or my own experience, or it doesn't matter. I just want them to have that experience. So even if that's the last session we ever have, at least they walked away feeling validated for their experience. And that's important to me. And that's the end of my story. Don't we have a TikTok or something?
Don't we have a TikTok? Is it time for a TikTok?
I have a TikTok.
Wow, but go, Ronnie.
I'm just gonna go with the TikTok. All right.
What you got, Ronnie Whaley?
I got this TikTok. Interested to see what you guys think about it.
I'm scared. To be honest, I'm always scared.
So basically, a bunch of young people hanging out at a house, and this girl
surprise us,
picks up her phone.
Stupid fucking whore! So I'll just shut the fuck up! I'll just
fucking dumbass. I hope that you choke on a piece of concrete and literally go to hell. I will see you in fucking hell, you fucking asshole, you fucking liar, you fucking manipulator, you goddamn wish you would have played your cards right with me, you fucking asshole!
What do you think?
I like the end. Yo.
But
Wow. Wow.
You
Is there any context for it? Or that's it? That's it. That's all
I
we
don't
got.
think you need that much content.
She just broke up with someone. I'm guessing.
Now see, nothing gets past you.
Fuck
Nothing.
you.
But did you see like after like
That
she
was her
hung up,
dentist. She was talking to her dentist.
Yeah. She was canceling a dental appointment.
after she hung up, like you know how like you could like back then when you had like landlines, you could like hang up the phone.
Yeah, nice
Now,
click.
She went and like she touched her screen. It's not as effective. You know what I mean? Did you notice that? She was like, "Fuck you." Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Not even beep.
Yeah.
You have to
that's when
throw your
need-
phone after
You need
that.
to be able to throw your phone.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that on here about the whole you don't have a cradle anymore, or that's
Yeah, I
something
think we
different
did. I think we did.
that you can't just slam the phone down
Well,
anymore?
what I find is so much is interesting. Here's the question: if she hadn't been being filmed, would she have been as big, or was there a part of her that was?
Did she know she was being filmed? We don't know.
Well,
No, we
think
don't.
about it. Think about it. She was also in the middle of a room surrounded by her friends. You know what I mean? So that private conversation,
film or no film, right? She was already public,
yeah.
and
I
her
didn't
friends
look like
weren't
she
sitting
minded.
next to her going, "Yeah, you tell him." They were all going, "Whoa!"
They were like, "Get this on camera."
And also, we don't know that they're actually friends. Maybe they all just be hanging. They just be hanging out
Just be
together.
hanging out. You know?
They just be hanging.
And
you could have been
she's
there.
the
Heidi.
extra person, right? She's just the extra person that came. Somebody brought her.
Who
and,
invited her?
Yeah, and she's all like, "What?"
I would have loved for that to be the case. They'd be like, "Do you know her?"
I met her at the Stop and Shop. I don't know.
Is there a comment attached to the video?
Well, so the funny thing about the
A caption, if you will.
there's no context in the caption.
Yeah.
It's just posted. But the comments in the TikTok are like, what the fuck did that guy do? And like also in the other perspective is, was that appropriate or necessary? You know what I mean?
Well, I think it
We don't know
depends.
because we don't have the context.
Right.
It's
it
true,
depends
right?
what he
It
did.
depends. But is there any?
Wow.
Yeah, I guess you could do any. Like you could. There's a lot of things you could do that deserve yelling like that.
Maybe he's been cheating a lot.
That's what I
and
thought.
That was
cheating,
the end.
cheating and
Well,
lying
she did
and
say
manipulating.
cheating, right?
Did she say
Is it
cheating?
Did she?
manipulative?
Liar.
I think
I
she
could
did.
remember. It was her. It was so big. I'm sure he couldn't hear what she was saying either. Why do we think it
Wow.
was? Why do we think it's a he? By the way,
Oh, it sounded
was
like
it-
I heard it, guy. I heard him.
You could
I know,
hear
was he
him?
even trying
You
to
could hear
talk?
the
It was
guy?
crazy.
He was
Why
like,
is he even
no,
listening?
He goes. She goes. You. She goes. You like that, huh? And he goes, no, I don't.
It was Ronnie. It was Ronnie.
I missed. I didn't
No, I
miss
don't.
that part.
Yeah, it was
No, it was Ronnie. I don't actually like it at all.
yeah, that's what he was saying on the phone. Like, no, I don't want you to be doing this right now. No, please stop.
I mean, who stays on the phone and listens to that?
Wow. Wow.
That's a good question.
Unless he, again, maybe, and for all we know, she thinks he cheated and he didn't.
That's
So
true.
he's on the phone saying,
That's
okay,
true.
baby. Okay, no, I don't like this, but I'll just sit here with you because
So
I can hear
no.
your rage.
Mm,
So
no, I
Hear
love
your
you.
rage, and we're gonna
We're gonna get your meds
Marry
worked
that
out.
guy.
Saying, do you want to have kids together? Is that what you want? I'll do it. I'm in. I'm all in. Okay, this is someone who's angry, doesn't know how to communicate in a different way, or take care of herself. Love for self is conditional. Let's circle back there around
Young
that.
love, baby. You know what I
Young
mean?
love, baby. Young psycho love. Mm. Fights
That's
on the
hard.
street.
That is hard. Yeah.
Fights on TikTok. Fights in restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot.
Yeah.
God bless them all. God bless them all. And of course, and how
And
many
a
how many
happy new
views?
year.
How many views does that have, Ronnie?
Ridiculous amounts of views.
Yeah.
It's
Right?
It's everywhere. Yeah.
It's everywhere.
You know what? You know why I think it's everywhere is because I think it's relatable content. I think it is
How so?
for some people,
Being
Go
relatable
on,
because
tell us
we've all
more.
been that angry.
or have been on the receiving end of that. I think.
Wow. Have you ever been on the receiving end of anything like that, Ronnie?
I don't know.
You can't tell the truth. What do you mean? I don't know.
I'm not comfortable.
I'm not. Yeah, you can create a boundary. Go ahead. Just because
You
I
can.
don't have any doesn't mean that you can't.
Yeah, I may have been in conversations like that for sure. Yeah, that it's not fun.
Women
when I
screaming
watched
at
that,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
When I watched that for the first time, it like, I like it struck a chord with me. I was like, oh shit, oh, brought me back, brought me back.
Oh, wow.
What's the chord? Tell us, Ronald.
I don't know. I can't say.
I
But
can't say.
all I could say is that the felt real. Felt real.
Oh man.
Felt that.
Have you been in a situation like that, Nelsie?
Have you?
I think I've been that mad and probably yelled like that, but not on a phone with people watching and filming me. If I've had that level of anger, it's been just me and one other person where no one else is paying attention.
How about you, Heidi?
What you just said, that reminded me of a friend just texted today, and she said, every day I both am grateful for and regretful or wishing that we had TikTok when we were in high school, and grateful that we didn't have it, and
Kind of
wishing
wish that we had.
Right. And I have to agree, it would have been brutal. I don't envy kids
Oh.
today with that having everything is out there.
Everything
I
is
mean, it
out
would have
there,
been lots of
everything-
fun until it wasn't nice, and then it would have been brutal.
Yeah.
So have I
Yeah.
had that? I think that I also, but I don't it wouldn't have been recorded in any of that. And also I think that when I've been in situations where I feel that angry, it is definitely private. And I don't think I've ever gotten that. I've never talked like that.
You've never sounded like Reagan in The Exorcist. Like,
Yeah.
that was wow. Wow.
No, can I tell you guys something real quick? It reminds me of this story that happened. That something
You can't delete this.
I witnessed this. It's my friend's story, but it was in public, so it doesn't fucking matter. But so it was trending on Twitter. So back in college, a friend of mine broke up with his long-term girlfriend, and the girlfriend was known to have some rage issues. She can really hold things back, and so he slept with a girl the day after they broke up. Then he was on Snapchat. I don't know if you guys know Snapchat. It's an app where you it's basically
We know
Instagram.
what Snapchat is.
Well, it's like you send.
Oh, I do.
No, we know. We got it.
All right, you send private messages or videos to. He sent private videos, not videos. He sent a private picture of him in bed, sleeping in bed next to this girl, and sent
The
it
day
to
after he broke up with his long-term girlfriend.
exactly, and he sent it
sent it
to
to
a
who?
bunch of his friends, guys, right? And then guys opened it up at school with people around because not knowing what was happening. The girl finds out, the ex-girlfriend finds out, right? The next day, right? We're all at school or in college, right? And I'm with my girlfriend at the time, and we're standing in front and we're talking about it. Everyone's talking about it, because he said it to everybody. And then I see him walking from the left of me, and I see her right here, on the right of me, boiling up, talking to these two other girls who I consider enablers because I heard the conversation that they were having. They were like, "Yeah, fuck that guy," blah blah blah. And I realized that they weren't even really friends. Those two girls loved just drama. So I know they weren't friends. They were freshmen, and he comes.
But they were yeah,
exactly. And the guy, my friend, comes in from the left. They meet in the middle. I watch this happen. She comes in. He goes, "You fucking asshole," and punches him in the face and the nose, breaks his nose. And then he gets so mad, and like they have to like get separated. And then she's like, she really wants to like fucking like do more, but the crowd separates, right? So those two girls that were enabling her come and they're like, that fucking asshole, where's his fucking car? We should destroy his car, right? And then and then she goes, oh, that's his car, that's her car, that's his car right there. One of the girls says, and the girl knew, right? I don't know how she knew. And she goes and takes a rock, scrapes on
Not the ex-girlfriend, somebody else.
the
One of the
ex-girlfriend.
other
The ex-girlfriend.
The ex-girlfriend does it.
Gets a rock, scrapes fucking cheater all over this Jeep. It was a Jeep. It was an expensive car, right? And scrapes into the paint, and then she takes a big at like what are those hollow block? So like
cinder block.
cinder blocks. That picks one up and starts trying to break the
Windshield.
The windshield.
Okay,
But it was
she
bulletproof
needs some
windshield,
help.
so it didn't break.
Which, of course, when you get the Jeep, you pay the little extra for the bulletproof because you know you're going to be cheating on your girlfriend.
I remember.
So you think ahead. You got to think ahead.
I
Do you
remember when I
want
saw
heated
that.
seats? No, but I want the bulletproof. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. When I saw that, I was like, that's an amazing piece of engineering right there. That's, like that thing, she was hitting it really hard. And
That was your
didn't break.
takeaway. What a nice piece of
Yeah, and also don't
engineering
do what he did. But like, it was like
And he's got a
bouncing off.
helmet on behind, just watching the whole thing behind, like.
Amazing.
And he says to his girlfriend, "Put your helmet on. This is gonna get ugly."
But so
Did
that
you bring
day
it?
that happened was like a
Yeah.
school event day. So everyone was out and stuff. So everyone saw this happen. Everyone saw the car. And then someone posted it on Twitter and it started trending in the Philippines. It started trending.
Oh my
It's-
God.
Yeah.
So was there did she get charged with assault or with destroying
Nothing
property?
happened.
Or?
Nothing happened after that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
nothing
how's
happened.
she doing
Why did
today?
he do that? That's my question. Why
Yeah,
did
no,
he post it?
Oh,
Yeah.
because he's an
No.
idiot. That's because he's just
But
an idiot.
did he do it to
To
mess
be
with
mean.
her? Did he
or
do
was
it
he
to
being
be mean?
thoughtless?
I think he was being an idiot. Like, I don't think it was in spite of her. I think it was more of like just being a dude. Just
Oh,
like,
look at me. Look at me. I got
fuck
laid.
I mean,
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
other
yeah.
thing. I just
Yeah.
add on that. It's just the other thing. It's like when you break up with someone, especially in the time of social media, posting about the new relationship you're in immediately after breaking up your marriage or any relationship that you have is just unkind.
It's just unkind. Yeah.
It's just simply unkind. It just doesn't. Why do you need to do that?
Have
What
a
is the
heart.
purpose of that other than to make yourself feel better? You're doing it for yourself. It's not even an unconscious thing. There is
Look
a
how
little
awesome
bit
I
of
am.
like mean intentionality towards someone, but for all the myriad reasons why someone would do that, the end result is simply it's unkind. And the
Yeah.
other person
I mean, the
who
only
has
intention to post it is for other people to see it.
been right,
Right.
like, hey,
yeah.
I'm
Like,
good.
look what
I'm
I
in a
did,
new
and aren't I
relationship.
awesome? Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Well,
I'm
they-
dating someone, or I'm having a
Um,
good time.
Yeah.
Life is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
'Cause if they
hooking
didn't
up
post
with
that,
someone.
They couldn't love themselves. You know what I mean?
There
To
you
value
go.
themselves, you know what I mean?
There
Right,
you go.
right.
Turn.
Ronnie,
So
Way to drop
just
that mic.
now, this was a while ago, Ronnie. Correct? Do you
Yeah.
know today how the male part, how the guy and the girl, the guy who did the
They're married and
posting,
they have 4 kids.
and the woman who did had the rage. How are they doing? Did they grow
Rage.
up a little bit? Did they grow up a little bit, or is there still a lot of drama swirling around them?
That was 5 years ago. So the guy's in a long-term relationship right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but they've been together for a while, so all good luck to them and stuff. And the girl with the rage, I think she's working some stuff out. But I think she's
Okay.
been like doing a lot of Muay Thai.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, good. Yeah, let's get some of that rage out. Yeah.
Good.
Let's do some Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Good. Or is she getting the rage out, or is she just getting ready to break somebody else's nose? That's the question. Only this time she's going to do it with her foot.
She's doing it a lot more precision.
Sending them both love. I'm sending them both love.
Yeah.
And I don't
Okay.
care.
So that's all. Said the therapist. Nah, I don't care.
I
Fuck
don't
them
care
both.
what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we have. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
When you're up to
Is it?
like a father does
It is.
with
I mean, it is.
everybody
It's all the
music's
time we
currently
have.
playing right now.
Okay, so and we'll see you guys next
When you're
week.
spooning with a stranger and they won't let you kiss them, find your joy. When your house reeks of weed and your kids hallucinating, find your joy. Find your joy. When you're sick, your dick and skimpy, when your dog likes Jiffy, find your joy.
You've been listening to the What If Nothing's Wrong podcast with Heidi Haddad, LCSW, Nelsie Spencer, that's me, and Ronnie Whaley. Tweet us and join Heidi's weekly AMAs on Twitter at Heidi L. Haddad, or tweet the What If Nothing's Wrong podcast at WINW Pod. That's at WINW Pod on Twitter. You can also email us at whatifnothingswrong@gmail.com. The What If Nothing's Wrong podcast is produced and edited by the amazing Ronnie Whaley.